Many people have problems with art and not with reality.
So why is art different?
It's pretty simple, right?
This is knowledge, this is thinking, this is thought.
Yeah, it does something strange with your head.
Welcome to the Undergang Armchair.
Bring it.
Welcome to the Undergang Armchair. My name is Ando. This week we have the pleasure of meeting a man whose production exists outside of any single plane of work. It's Cali Thornhill Dewitt, y'all. He has run, kind of still runs, an independent record label. He makes clothes. He worked as a nanny for Kurt Cobain and Courtney Love. And, of course, the reason we're here today, he is an artist in his own right. He's a hard guy to pin down, and it turns out he's a really thoughtful dude. So it was a pleasure to hear in his words about the work he does and all of its forms and the reasoning behind it. I was indeed lucky enough to get a hold of him last week to talk to me about his show, which is hanging right now, 29 Flags. It's hanging at 18, the newish sister gallery of our good friends at B1 Gallery. It's a heavy show, and it's most certainly worth going to visit because the photos just can't do the installed justice. I suggest you go on a quiet day and stand among the works he's made. That's it. I hope you guys enjoy.
I know Mike's, but I'm not whatever.
Not a whatever, yeah.
I'm not a performer.
Oh, yeah? Well, I mean, you've obviously been, so basically the whole weird thing about this show is I do a little bit of preliminary research. I base it off of what people tell me, like my friends, et cetera, which means I get to ask dumb questions because I don't actually know what's going on. And then you look at like your Wikipedia page, for example, and that is...
I think my Wikipedia page, I don't look at it, but someone showed it to me once. And I think it says that I was born in 1969.
Does it? I didn't know that.
But that makes me 4 years older than I really am.
Well, that was the question. How accurate is it? Because like a lot of the links are dead on it.
Yeah, I don't think it's that accurate. But I mean, I like it not to be accurate. You know what I mean? Like,
right. Well, that was one of the interesting things I came upon as I was doing my preliminary research was that you were talking about, like, A, you've been making art for a long time, but you haven't necessarily shared it. And B, the whole Kanye West thing, you didn't feel like speaking up on it.
Well, I mean, there's not really much to speak up on.
That depends on who you are.
Yeah, I mean, people want to hear about Kanye West, but...
They sure do.
It was... It is this project of making merchandise, and I don't know what else there is to say about it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Like, I like the font. I like the design. I didn't invent that design. That's from swap meets in L.A., and mostly Southern California is where I would see it when I was young. And if I wanted to make one, which I did, I'd make one at the swap meet. I started making them because the technology changed and all the places that made them stopped making them.
Okay, and this was more like mom and pop places almost, wasn't it?
It's like a stall in a swap meet half the size of this room.
Get your hat, get your T-shirt.
Get your memorial sweatshirt for your friend who died or whatever.
Yeah.
So I started making them only because I wanted to make more. I wanted to make like 10. I was driving. I was like, I'm going to go make 10. Like, I kept the list. It was like I was going to go make 10 this one day. For like Judy Garland and Lee Bowery and John Cassavetes. It was going to be this like set. Not really for any other reason that I wanted to. And I got to my usual place and it was gone. And then I went to all the other usual places and they were gone. And it was like they had been there 6 months before.
And that would mean those memorial hoodies weren't as popular as they once were, or just the whole nature of
just the nature of printing. They were doing, kind of some kind of like inkjet, laser jet, direct to garment. The font
online
changed. You know what I mean? You could do it still at the swap meet, but the font is different and the process is different, so the garment is different. So really, I just wanted to make them, continue to make them, and for myself and my friends. Now, because of the Kanye thing, there are bootlegs of them now back at the swap meets.
Which is fucking tight.
Which is the best possible outcome. But it wasn't, that wasn't my, maybe it was like a dream, but it wasn't my intent with them.
You didn't imagine that it would go that way?
No. I'm glad it did. You know?
Sure.
It's nice to see bootlegs and fake shit. To me, that's good.
Yeah. That means you've gotten somewhere.
Well, it's fun
to
see, like, you know, like an unsuspecting, like, old woman or something wearing like a bootleg of it because it was $3.
Right.
You know?
And she needed something
and
warm
she needed
that day.
a t-shirt or whatever. Like, that's cool. But as you know, I could have done 100 interviews about it. Once it was with Kanye, and it was like, well, I'm not really interested in it. You know what I mean? Like that story.
Sure.
And the story is simply that he asked me to make them and we made them. You know?
It is that straightforward. It's just because it's Kanye that everyone's like, oh my God, tell me all about it.
Yeah, and there's like not that much to tell. I'm sure if I was like into talking about myself more, I could figure out some way to like make this long story. You know what I mean?
It can go on forever, sure.
You know. But I mean, he was aware of them. I made him one for his mom, like, whatever, a year and a half ago.
Right.
You know, I made one for Virgil, who, you know, they worked together, Virgil Abloh, like, longer than that, you know? So it wasn't like a sudden thing. It was sort of, and it wasn't a goal and it wasn't a sudden thing, but I like it. That's the main thing.
It takes on a life of its own in a sense.
Yeah, it's like this weird penetration that's fun to watch from over here, but I don't want to like jump up and down and say that's me.
So is it true that you've kind of only recently in the last few years moved into the art world?
Yeah.
With the things you make?
Yeah.
Was that a conscious thing or did the art world draw you in?
I mean, I got offers for a couple things. I did a couple shows that I really liked doing. I wasn't comfortable enough, I think, to do it before. You know, I was comfortable sort of in a role sort of facilitating other people to do creative projects.
This is through the record label.
I had a record label and I had a little gallery and stuff like just over the years, you know. Involved, but not directly.
Not putting your own stuff forward.
Yeah. And it started kind of slow. I always had a job. I had to turn down a couple things because I had a job.
Jobs will do that.
Yeah, which is fine. But then I thought, what if I didn't have a job? My life doesn't cost very much money. You know? I own a car. My rent is cheap.
That's so key.
You know? And I asked my wife what she thought, and she was like, oh, it's fine. If you quit, you know? I was like, I think that I can do it. Like, I think I can make enough money for us to pay the rent.
Right.
And also I was like, but I will just, you know, work doing whatever, and I can work part-time, but I can still, like, do these shows. I felt like I looked forward and thought that if I died turning things down I wanted to do, I would be like, oh, I shouldn't have done that. So that was really it. Like that's a classic story, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I'm there. I just quit my job this summer.
Yeah,
and I'm doing it now, and it's a fucking tremendous feeling. It's a little terrifying.
Yeah,
but the fact that you are able to, you know, like I took the day off yesterday to go to a series of lectures that was almost 8 hours long.
Yeah.
About post-internet art, you know, and like, in a way I'm just like, fuck this. But on the other hand, I'm like, wait, I can do this. And this does inform my brain on some level about things I'm interested in.
Yeah.
Why not? Whereas before when I had a job, I'd be like, nah, I have to go to work.
Yeah.
I can't come.
Yeah.
And that is a very fortunate situation to be in that also requires a lot of hard work.
Yeah.
But I mean, it
Yeah,
seems
but it's like a different kind of hard work, right? It is hard work, but it's also a different kind.
Well, if you love it and if you're enthused about it.
Yeah. Then it's fun.
But it seems like you've been working on projects forever.
Yeah.
I mean, you had a record label. Do you still have a record label?
Kind of. It's not really active.
It's on the back burner.
I mean, I don't really want to put out any more records. And then my friend Brendan Fowler and I started a record label like a year ago, another one. Because a band called Purity started in LA, and we were like, oh, we should make a record label and put out the record because we like them so much. And
funny how shit like that happens.
Yeah, so that record will come out eventually. But I'm a terrible record label owner. I'm not a professional. We're going to make a really nice object. That's what we're going to do.
Right.
You know?
Which has more to do with the object than the music, or what?
No, the music's part of it, but it's all like, you know, records were important to me growing up and how they looked. And
sure.
So,
yeah.
As far as like whatever ads or sending out review copies or anything, like I just,
all that
I'm not against
work.
it, but that's not, I tell people if we make a record, I'm like, that's not going to happen with me. I'm not good at that. I'm not even going to try.
Right.
We're going to make a great looking record. You can take them on tour or whatever.
Right. Do what you will.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's fine. At least you are straight up about it. I mean, because that kind of thing actually is a good thing for a certain group, right? For people who maybe wouldn't have an opportunity otherwise, or who also don't care. That's also a possibility. Yeah. You know, then it's tremendous to have that opportunity.
Yeah. It's like something for everyone to share.
Yeah. Fuck it. Why not?
Yeah.
But I mean, it seems like you've been involved. I'm sure you're sick to death of talking about Nirvana and art. But I mean, the point I'm just trying to make is that you have been involved in creative musical milieus for a long time.
Yes. And I mean, that's just from like growing up, being interested in like punk, basically.
But not just interested, engaged.
Yeah. I mean, you're supposed to engage, however, whether it's like putting on a show or making a zine or just being a supportive, being an active member of a community.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Which is scary when you're young, kind of.
But also thrilling.
But when you do something, you think it's like, this is it. I'm doing this thing. This is my thing. I have one fucking chance. You know what I mean?
Totally.
And I find that no matter what you do, you're still you. Like nothing's going to change it. And so for me, I just like to continually be active, and engaging.
Right. Well, that and the things in a way start to blend together at a certain point, right? I mean, I found that since I quit my day job is that I have an artistic practice, I have a podcast, and I have freelance work.
Yeah.
And as much as I may try to keep those things separated, they bleed into each other.
Yeah, in a way, it's in a good way, it's all the same. It's all the same impulse.
Right.
Or similar,
right.
You know? So, sometimes people have said that I seem to do a lot of different things, but it's all the same to me.
You do seem to do a lot of different things, at least if you look on Wikipedia, right?
But to me, it's all the same.
Right.
So if I'm in the studio working on something, but then I want to make a shirt, or then I want to, whatever. It's just, it doesn't seem that different from each other to me. It just seems like...
It's all projects.
Yeah, and you're like, you know, you want to maximize your time because time is limited.
Certainly is.
You know,
and after the age of 27, maybe, is when you start to really think about that.
Yeah. And I'm 43, so.
Right. So it really becomes...
I mean, I'm not like, oh my God, but... You know, somewhere maybe subconsciously I'm a little bit like that.
Well, I mean, God knows is when you do a lot of things and you're interested in a lot of things, you also know even this week I don't have enough time to do all the shit I want to do. I wanted to go to your opening yesterday. Guess what? I couldn't. You know, there's just even in that level, there's too much to do, and prioritizing is tough sometimes.
Yeah, for sure.
So, I had a good friend of mine. I told him yesterday that I was going to come here and talk to you, and he was like, dude, you got to ask him, when's the last time he had women's underwear on?
Gosh. I don't know, maybe not that long.
Sometime.
There's some like disposable women's underwear in Bangkok at the spa. I put them on.
True story. I've had those on too.
Yeah, they're like weird, whatever. They're funny.
Yeah, those weird massage ones too. What do you? I think the art world is a weird thing, right? And as a person who's personally interested in flitting in and out of it, do you have any sort of feeling about what the advantages or disadvantages of moving within that world, kind of as an artist? You know, now you're signing things with your name, hanging them on the wall, and you have to stand there and say, "I made this." Does it feel different at all, or is it part of the same big project?
I don't like love that part of it. I don't know. It depends on the day and on your mood. Like, I don't necessarily want to sign things, you know, but it's also nice that someone would want me to sign something. That gets me to be able to come to Copenhagen and like make new friends and stuff.
Right.
So, but I don't really know anything about the art world. To me, like, you know what I mean? Like the art forum,
the capital art world.
Like, I had a booth at Art Basel and I was really uncomfortable in Miami, you know, and I avoided it and I left and I didn't really feel like it was a place for me.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean, the good thing about the art world is that there are several art worlds now.
Yeah, it's like anything. There's several art worlds. The art world I exist in, I like. I see other stuff that I am pretty certain I wouldn't want to be there.
Well, I mean, it's both humiliating and thrilling at the same time in a weird way. You know, I spent the first quite a few years of practice, you know, not wanting to sign anything either. And it wasn't necessarily because I was ashamed. It was more like, I don't understand why the act of making this involves me having to sign it and be like, ta-da, it's done now.
Yeah.
Have at it, you know?
Yeah.
Like the process of making it and doing it was what was important.
Yeah, that's fun. I mean, the show last night, I was happy with it. You know,
that's
for
instance,
good. I was happy with it. I was hyped that, you know, this idea felt complete to me, you know, and then I guess I forget to sign things, but I like signing those. I like seeing that, okay, I did this. These are mine. And I can also like forget about them. Right. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm.
It is nice to like set something to see and be like, goodbye.
Yeah.
We had fun.
Yeah.
You know, and now it's time to move on because things can certainly draw out as well.
And I don't want to hold on to things too tightly. Whatever it is, I don't want to be like, ah.
Right. Well, that probably enables you to do more things and it kind of, you know, get your hands in other projects.
Well, it's also
areas.
that thing, like, you're still you. So if I, like, spend my life holding on to something, if I didn't like bootlegs of Kanye merch, for instance, if it made me mad, you know, and that people were, like, copying this thing that I copied.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
If I wanted to hold on to that and talk about how it's mine, it's not mine, you know? And if I was so loud about it that I like convinced everyone that it was mine, I'm still me. Like, it doesn't really get me anything.
Right.
Do you know what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't get me more peace of mind. It doesn't make me feel like more of a complete person. So I see people fighting for like one thing all the time. Like, this is my fucking thing.
Right.
And
back off.
And I'm like, you know.
Right. Well, it is a good question. What do you get out of this? What is this for? What are you assaging by not opening up, you know, or just moving on or whatever?
Yeah. I mean, because to me, the goal is like communication and learning, you know, like it's language, like everything we do is language. And it's like really at an elevated pace now, you know? And I like learning it as it unfolds.
Yeah.
And I like being able to communicate with people.
And it is going fast.
Yeah, it goes fast. And, you know, if I'm talking to someone I went to high school with and they're talking about something we did in 1989 and they don't really like understand what, you know, different aspects of what's going on now, you know, they just stop learning the language, you know, and then they're stuck. And that's fine, I guess. I don't want to do that. I want to keep going.
Well, it provides flexibility to be open in that sense.
Yeah.
You know, I was just talking to a group of artists who did an exhibition where they copied. There was an exhibition which got canceled, a group exhibition, and they got some Chinese factory to paint the entire exhibition again based off of the catalog they had been sent as a PDF.
Yeah.
And none of it was their art. It was all copies, and they had to guess what size the works were because the PDF didn't say, and all of this stuff. So they made this entire exhibition, which was copies of other people's artworks, and everybody loved it except for one guy was kind of sour.
Yeah.
And again, like, the point was, hey, dude, you know, like, this is about communication and authorship. It's not really about your work anyways.
Yeah. I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's great.
I think it's hilarious, too.
Yeah,
I like humor.
I think it's great. I mean, it's like those Martin Kippenberger paintings.
Right.
You know, painter paint me a picture, or whatever it was called. And they were like, he had other people do the paintings. And I loved that.
So you do know something about the art world.
A couple things.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think it seems fairly clear to me without getting waxing too poetic about what you do, that you are very much absorbing culture, tendencies, news, happenings, events, Americana almost, at least in more of a modern sense.
Yeah.
And kind of just reweaving it into the work. And obviously it comes from being present in our life.
Yeah.
And then, you know, I guess the question is, at some points that hasn't fit into the art world.
Yeah.
If it was music or T-shirts or something else, and at other times it has fit into the art world.
Yeah.
Do you feel yourself going more into working in this direction, or is it all just kind of more short term?
You mean more into the direction of exhibiting artwork and stuff?
Yeah, well,
I feel like that's my favorite thing. Maybe.
Favorite thing, maybe.
You know, I think I've been lucky that the last 3 years I've got to work on that for so often.
Right.
I will continue to, and I think that this coming year, if it's possible, I will exhibit less and work more, like work on it more.
Mm-hmm. Make new things.
Yeah. Like work on new ideas.
Mm-hmm.
But that's kind of like more what I think about the most.
Like thinking about new things you want to execute.
Making work, yeah. I guess most of the other stuff is sort of secondary to that.
The other stuff being some of the other projects you have
whatever, yeah. And I don't mean secondary like I like them less. It's just like less, maybe a little less passionate about. Or like I find it hard to get passionate about a T-shirt. But then sometimes I don't know. You know,
it doesn't necessarily have to follow an order.
Yeah.
But, well, I mean, it seems like you must engage with the world in order to make your work, I can only assume.
Yeah.
But that doesn't necessarily mean making a T-shirt. That also means just driving around LA, talking to homies, listening to music.
It's just watching.
Yeah.
And interacting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you make music too?
No.
No.
I really would love to be able to play the piano, but twice I've committed to lessons and gotten a few months in and then given up.
Because it doesn't feel right?
No, because I just am very incompetent musically. You know, I would love to be. My youngest brother's really, really competent with like every instrument. I'd love to play the piano, but apparently I wouldn't love to play the piano enough to work on it.
Yep. That's the thing.
But every time I watch Marx Brothers movies, I always want to play the piano.
You can get a player piano.
Yeah, but I want to be like...
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there is only so much time, like you say. I played the piano as a kid like so many other people did.
Yeah.
And, at a certain point, I was like 13, and I was like, pianos are stupid.
Yeah,
I don't want anything to do with it. And then I never really managed to get back to it.
13-year-olds don't want to play the piano usually.
They don't, and they're such little jerk-offs for that.
Yeah.
At least I was.
Yeah.
But let's talk about this work. I was reading the statement.
Uh-huh.
And you say it's based off of specific events.
Yeah, each one is a specific event.
And how are you, is this events you already had in your brain, or did you actually sit down and do research?
These are all events that had some kind of effect on me or fascinated me. Some I was alive for, some I wasn't. There's a key in there to the events, like to what they are. And in deciding which ones I was going to do, or making a list and seeing what got cut and what I kept, a lot of it had to do with each one. I would just sit down and then read about it. I already knew about it, but really read about it, like whatever, like read Christopher Dorner's entire manifesto, and take notes from that. And a lot of the time, they would make it depending on a certain set of phrases or words that were in the story that I felt like worked best.
What do you mean they would make it?
Like a set of words that would make the flag right to me.
That would would pop up.
I can't make something up.
Right.
For these, so some I can't remember what they were, but some of the events were actually kind of boring on paper. The act itself was whatever it was, but maybe the person's biography or his history or what led the person to that event was kind of it didn't get my attention. It wasn't fascinating. Yeah.
Right.
So each one is something specific that I already have thought about plenty. And, it's also like a portrait of America.
Is that what fascinates you about these certain events and brings you in, as opposed to some other event which didn't grab your attention?
A lot of it is about where the human mind is capable of going. How wrong you can be a lot of the time. Some of it's right, but you know what I'm saying? Like, even the stuff that's right, whether it's right or wrong,
it ends wrong.
No, not necessarily. I mean, probably most of it, but it's just people are fascinating. What they're capable of is fascinating.
The stories they tell themselves can be particularly
incredible,
interesting.
and they believe them.
Yeah,
half the time.
Yeah,
most of the time, people believe what they want to believe, and most of it is fucking out there. It probably has a California bent to it.
As a Californian, I definitely was that reminds me of home.
Yeah, because that's my place. I love California. I love Southern California. I love all of it. But that's where I've always been. So, so that's why there has to be a Night Stalker flag, because I was 11 or 12, and we slept with knives under our pillows and stuff. And
I really related to that part of your statement where you're talking about how terrifying it was, because it's true. In the mid late 80s, there everyone was basically like, the messages we got as kids was like, watch the fuck out.
Yeah, there's
someone's going to stab you, someone's going to rape you, someone's going to cook you in a pot. Like everything is fucked. You better stay home and watch some Scooby-Doo, because and I related to that because I do remember and my parents were not at all the type who were like really You know, and like, let's face it, I grew up in a very safe suburban atmosphere. There was no issue there. But
Yeah.
that was the news, that was the media, that was the, you know,
Yeah.
and it still affected you. I've talked to people in Atlanta that were kids during the child killings.
Yeah.
And how that still kind of hangs over their head.
Yeah.
And maybe it was even a kid down the street who disappeared, you know, and then you're really like, it's happening right there.
Yeah. So, you know, and then just the power of the media with all those things and
those fucking televangelists.
yeah, and then I think nuke fear in the 80s was so real to me, you know. Also same age, like 12, like I was going to get nuked. I'm about to get fucking nuked.
All right.
You know.
Don't have to work
Those
hard
were
at
the
school because
messages
we're
I
gonna
was
all
getting.
die. Yeah. Did you guys do nuke training in school?
I'm sure we did like bomb drills or whatever.
Hide under your desk. That'll help in a nuclear attack.
Yeah. And so it's still, you know, of course it's the same. I just listen less because I know that it's not true, you know. Remember, like, a few years ago, they were like, this drug crocodile is, like, sweeping the nation. Like, dude, no one was doing fucking crocodile.
Right. Ladies are eating fools' faces off.
Yeah, it was like a couple, you know, whatever. Some unfortunate people did do it, but, like, or like I said a couple times this week, it's like killer bees. They were always like, killer bees are coming to California.
True, they were on the way. They were in Arizona, dude. They're coming.
They're on their way. They're going to fucking sting you to death. All that shit. It's really, what up?
What's up there, Michael? How you doing?
You guys?
Likewise.
What do you got in the bag?
Bruce t-shirts.
Oh, no, in the bag. Falafels.
Yeah, no, it was terrifying. And I feel like the 90s were actually fairly benign.
Yeah.
Like, if we look back on the Bill Clinton era now,
Yeah.
that was actually like, shit calmed down there for a while.
Yeah. I mean, I think the 90s were violent in cities.
Yeah.
Right? But I don't know. I can't remember. I was wasted in the 90s.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess that's true. It's when you stopped watching TV as much
Yeah.
and got busy doing other stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, granted. I mean, it does feel a little terrifying. Again, I don't know if that's because I'm getting older now and I'm of the age now where I'm like, no, man.
Yeah.
You know, I know ISIS isn't a problem, but I'm obviously granted for me. But you know, I'm concerned. I think the world's not going very well in some ways.
Well, I mean, depending on how I'm looking at it, I mean, I often think that much of the world is just waiting to be told that it's okay to be racist. You know?
You guys, it's okay. It's okay.
And then they're just going to like fucking jump right in.
Right.
So
there does seem to be a seething undercurrent.
yeah, but it's always like that. One,
I think you're probably right.
Another,
and the message just changes.
People want to know who the bad guys are.
And
a lot of
we're
people are
clearly
ready to say the bad guys are this person, however they're born.
And the more clearly delineated, the better.
Yeah. Yeah. So.
Well, I mean, one of the things about fear makes me think about advertising. And you were looking through that book earlier, and you were talking about how you want to include advertising.
Yeah.
And it strikes me that the language of advertising and the psychology of advertising probably figures a lot into your thoughts about the way you communicate.
I think about advertising all the time. But to say the advertising in the book, I should be clear. Like, I think that when I think of art books with advertising, they're ads of their friends or people they work with. So it's like, to me, it's cool because it's ads, but it's ads for
subversive
other artists or whatever. It's just, and really, if I had art books from 30 years ago, or if Nan Goldin's first book was funded kind of by advertising from people she worked with and liked, it would be an interesting section in the book now, 20 or 30 years later.
Yeah.
I'd be like, oh, there's like a David Armstrong ad in here and whatever.
Right,
you know what I mean?
Right.
An ad for Greer Langton's dolls, like whatever. It's just like stuff that is interesting.
Right.
So.
But I mean, also the language, the way
the language of advertising,
also seems
advertising, headlines, all that. It's like that's what you're assaulted with.
Fear mongering.
Yeah, it's like it's all around you.
Or selling.
Yeah, all day.
Yeah.
So I'm influenced by that. You know?
Yeah, and it seems like not only influence, but you use it to your advantage as well.
No, I like using it.
Yeah.
It's a language everyone can understand.
And we're all quite acclimated to.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways.
Yeah.
I mean, the weird thing is I've been living here now for 10 years, and whenever I come back to the U.S., there's a day or two where I'm a little bit shocked. I don't mean intellectually shocked, but just a little surprised, overwhelmed by the amount of advertising there is everywhere.
Yeah.
Because here there's a little bit more, I don't know if it's like zoning rules or what, but there isn't billboards on top of buildings saying, hey, you know, or any of that. And like you're flying even into the airport, you know, at SFO, I'm just kind of like, oh my God, you know, it's everywhere.
Yeah.
And it's pervasive. It gets in under your skin. You don't necessarily realize, you know, in a day or two, I've acclimated, and that's it. That's just how it is.
Yeah. 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 I mean, we're assaulted from every direction, from our phones to everything we see, for sure.
What about the messages of religion? Do you think at all about that? Does that work?
I don't really think about it. I think about it if it's like hateful. You know, I think about it.
Which is more about human hubris or something.
Yeah, I think about that. But as far as like people's personal spirituality or anything like that, I don't. Good for that. You know, it's good. It's good. Whatever makes people happy and answers questions for them, as long as it's not something that's about harming other people, you know?
Right.
But I'm also not that interested in it.
Doesn't grab you.
No. I mean, I was just in Rome and I went in some fucking beautiful churches.
Those are wily, huh?
You know, they're really nice.
Yeah.
But I don't know anything about it.
Right.
I wasn't raised with it.
Right.
You know?
Do you consider yourself Canadian, by the way?
I mean, I'm born in Canada. I moved to LA when I was 3, so I'm Canadian.
But you're a Los Angelino mostly.
Yeah. I think of myself more of an Angelino. But I have a Canadian family, so there's Canadian stuff in there, you know?
Sure. Well, I mean, I know all about having a foot in 2 countries, you know? Which is actually, I mean, I don't know how much it affected your life, but it can be a very good thing for expanding the idea of like my life right now, right in front of me isn't everything.
Yeah.
There's other places with other people who do other things.
Yeah.
And that, I think, especially when you're growing up, can be a powerful thing.
Oh, yeah. It's great to know that. I mean, it's a big fucking world. You know? Most people, 99.9% of them have no idea about the stuff you and I are talking about. And there's no, you know what I mean? It doesn't like, this is just like everything, you know, it's pretty niche.
Right. Well, what do they say? I think it's something like 15% of Americans have passports.
Yeah.
Which means they don't leave the country.
Yeah. They don't go anywhere.
They might go to Hawaii.
Maybe.
If they're lucky. You know, they might have flown over Canada on the way to Alaska for some reason if they worked on an oil rig or whatever. And that strikes me as tremendously, I'll say it, I think it's a shame.
Yeah.
Because America is fairly isolated.
Yeah.
In that sense. And it does create this feeling of like sometimes when I'm watching debates or something, I'm like, just go out and look at the rest of the world. Like you'll be fine.
Yeah.
You're not different than I am. You're not different than anyone else is. You just need to like get out of there for a little while.
Yeah.
Go try something else and then come back.
Yeah.
And talk to me about this shit then.
Yeah.
And that's tremendously dangerous. I think it's one of the things like that's why a lot of people make fun of Americans.
Yeah. Small thinking.
Yeah. Niche, like you said.
Yeah, it's just like there is whatever the town they live in.
Well, that's
like, the town gossip is really important. Like it's all like this really important thing. There's not that much that's that important, you know, in someone's day-to-day life. But it's treated as like whatever, you know what I mean? Like family drama. It's treated like a fucking nuclear attack.
Have you ever thought about moving abroad? living abroad?
Not really, because I really love LA so much, but I do love Japan.
Japan is nice.
And I don't think I would want to live there for too long, but I wouldn't mind going for some extended periods.
Do a residency.
Yeah, something. Even like a few months.
Japan's the shit.
Yeah.
I was there in 2012. I really want to get back.
Yeah, I really, whatever, I really connected with it there.
Yeah.
And maybe it's just because it's like one of the only places I've been that really is not like other places.
Well, I mean, talk about culture and the way culture affects society and the bombardment and,
Yeah.
The old versus new and all that.
Yeah.
There's just so much to grab onto.
Yeah, I really love it.
Yeah. Did you go there just for vacation or was it for a project?
I went there for a show in 2013 and I've gone back like 9 times.
Holy cow.
Like I go any chance, I'll probably go again before the year's over.
So if someone calls you and is like, something's happening in Tokyo, you're like, yeah, I'm coming.
Well, yeah, I have really close friends there now,
Right.
So
that makes it easier
I'm always
to navigate.
kind of planning to go.
It's easy to get there from LA too. I mean, there's direct flights, right?
Yeah, it seems so far, and then you go and you're like, it only took whatever.
Was it like
10
11 hours? Yeah.
11 hours.
So it's the same distance from here, actually.
Yeah. So, that's the only place I can imagine choosing to go live for a while.
Right.
And it's not, that I don't really love other places I visit, but I really, I've lived in LA a long time. I feel at home there. I like the way the cement looks. I like the way the sky, the colors of dusk and all the things that you fall in love with about a place.
Yeah.
So.
Well, the nice thing about LA, like you mentioned earlier, is that it's big enough that you can move other places in the city and, in a way, be moving elsewhere.
Yeah.
Like you can actually be like, all right, I'm done with this part of town.
Yeah.
And then move across town and you're in a whole other area.
There's so many little parts of LA that I haven't set foot in like 10 years.
Yeah. When I lived in Chicago, I mean, I say I lived in Chicago. I lived there for 4 years. I've seen 35% of that city.
Yeah.
And granted, it's segregated as all hell too. But it is, the cities of that size provide some freedom for moving around.
Yeah. I like that.
How much of LA figures in your work? And I don't mean just your artwork. I mean your life's work.
I think so much of it, just it's deeply influencing to me. I don't even know how, it's been there for so long in my life. I don't even know how to say it.
It's integral.
Yeah, it's integral.
I grew up being one of those people who's like, yeah, LA, fuck LA, also because it was the 90s.
Yeah, but also that's the Bay Area has to hate LA.
Yeah, we've got our little chip on the shoulder there.
Yeah, it's okay.
But I actually went to Cal Arts for a little while.
Oh, cool.
And I was like, oh, this is awesome.
Yeah.
There's something about that institution which is really awesome, and the fact that it was built out in the middle of some onion fields in the middle of nowhere.
I love Cal Arts. I have friends who go there right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a great institution. It's so LA.
Yeah, it's really
so
fun and
ways.
funny.
And even if it's out there, it's not even in town.
Yeah.
It's pretty wild. All right, well, what's next? What's coming up for you? Another trip to Japan?
Try to go to Japan. Try to, I don't know.
See what happens. Well, you said earlier you wanted to make more artwork and take the time out from exhibiting to make more artwork.
Yeah, it would be nice, right?
Yeah.
I'm actually having a small show in San Francisco on the 28th.
Woo-wee. Where at?
Somewhere called Chandran. I don't know. It's in the city.
Okay.
I don't know anything else. That's done. I just need to ship it. Yeah, I don't know. I'm pretty tired. I'm pretty exhausted. I want to.
Have you been on a run for the last little bit?
I've been on a run. I want to ride my bike around LA and make new work. That's what my plan is to do.
That sounds like an excellent plan.
Yeah.
I'm all in.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, thank you so much for your time. Thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you, man.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Undergang Armchair. Intro and outro music was kindly provided by Johnny Ripper, and today's interstitial music was provided by Twincom. You can find links to their music and tons of other conversations with great people on our flea market clothing stand of a website, undergang.net. If you do like this show, we would really appreciate it if you take the time to leave a review on iTunes so others can find us. This show is produced in part with the kind support of the Danish Arts Council. Thanks for joining us.